Good morning and welcome back to the channel. We do apologize. There was no live recording today. Mark had his dentistry. I had to do my other things. And of course, we have a sweet tooth for news. Hence why we have to deliver a recorded news this morning. But what's brewing here in the kitchen is basically Gary Neville is slamming the Glazers and protecting Ten Hag, rightfully so, and this is what we should do. Other news here today is that no other than El Clasico, we're talking about the Casemiro, is back training, and also in terms of paper talk, what's going on in the January transfer window? Let's find out because Fabrizio Romano has provided his update. Here we go.
Has the Premier League ever been more challenging?
Ik vind welkom. Dit is mijn home and I want to achieve success. Okay?
And did we achieve success over the weekend, Mark? Everyone has been talking about it. How do you feel? It's that circus, like
it's that kind of heartbreak that you don't like,
Yeah,
it's like your wife hurting your feelings in the worst way, and even if she says sorry, you can't change it. You just have to deal with it. You know what I mean? It's hard, man. Like, I didn't even get to watch the game live because, as you know, I was on a train.
You didn't. No, you did.
So I watched the game after twice, and I was just sitting there, and I'm like, every half chance that Bournemouth took, it went successfully for them. Our half chances, we were nowhere close.
Nowhere
you know
close.
What I mean?
That's the thing.
We could sit here and blame the usual suspects, but it's not getting anywhere. So I have to agree with Gary Neville. Bad recruitment for the last 10 years are what has us in this situation. And fans could sit around and say, well, we win one game and then we lose the next. But this have been the class of the majority of players at the club for the last 10 years. Lots of them been here for 5 years.
Listen, I think everything's been said and done. It's been 72 hours and plus more. Everyone had the, fallout, the rant. And, as what I said, we invited them to a restaurant for a 5-course meal and we didn't even get the crumbles. They ate it all. They even took the tea and the biscuits and they kidnapped the dog and went back home to Bournemouth and thinking, how did this happen? We actually won like a Premier League title here just by beating us. So it's quite embarrassing at the end of the day. But you know what? We're a club. It's football. We got to move on. And, Ten Hag is under pressure, not under pressure. Gary Neville has come out to say, you know what? He slams the Glazers verdict after the 3-0 defeat. And basically, Gary Neville blames the Glazers. And I applaud him because pundits need to be more, to call a spade, to call it for what it is. And I 100% agree. He says Gary Neville blames Ten Hag, not Manchester United poor form. Lack of leadership and recruitment issues are the real problem, Mark. And that is 100% correct, Mark, because at the end of the day, if there is no structure, any manager will fail. And Neville also dismissed the calls for Ten Hag to be sacked. He says that is nonsense. Club needs to change in structure and leadership. Again, he mentions structure and leadership. And this is something that I've been consistent with too. Neville expressed concern for Sir Jim Ratcliffe and clubs, his ability to turn things around at Old Trafford. And 100%. The third point, Mark, is what I'm saying. Sir Jim Ratcliffe, 25% versus 100% full takeover. Let's face it. Let's be real here, right? Ralph Rangnick called for an open heart surgery, right?
Yes.
Sir Jim Ratcliffe is not a surgeon. And 25% is not going to fix the problem. So again, it's the divide and conquer. And this is what Gary Neville is slamming, basically, to say, first and foremost, what you need to do is fix the structure of the team, the core spine of the club. And he's absolutely right. Because the blueprint is there, Mark. The blueprint has been there for the past 11 months, sacking and appointing managers. I mean, let's start from the beginning. Moisey was never supposed to be there. But then Louis van Gaal. Okay, then Jose Mourinho. Then what? Well, we have Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. And then we have Rangnick that actually called the open heart surgery. And now we have an authoritarian, a track coach manager that has been told you cannot play your way style of football. He's probably been told that you have to play our commercial way because they are shirt sellers. You have to start certain players. It is clear as day for me after 72 hours of reflection. I mean, what's your thoughts and feelings regarding this? Are you backing or you agreeing what Gary Neville is saying, you know?
I'm 100% backing Gary Neville on this one. You know, like sometimes I tend to disagree with some of his opinions, but at the core of his opinions, I always agree with him because he always says, you know, poor recruitment. And that speaks volumes. We act like if we don't know better. We've seen it at all the top clubs. We
Mm-hmm.
talk about Mikel Arteta, we talk about Klopp, we talk about Pep. What happens when these guys don't want certain players in their team? They're gone.
They're gone,
What
yeah.
happens when these guys say, we play this way? The club recruits players for the system.
Yeah.
We haven't done that in the last 10 years. And it's hard, man. It's hard
Yeah.
not to focus on that.
No, that's absolutely correct. But you know, I'm gonna reiterate the article. This is there's no way the club should even consider replacing the 53-year-old Erik ten Hag. You know, that was mentioned the Premier League Manager of the Month in November, and there's no way they should change him this season at all. Because the way he did now, we are on the strategic review. There's a lot of disarray within the club. He's been dealt a really bad hand this window. But at the end of the day, like, you know, where fans and myself are putting him in a doubt category is pretty much, you know, play your identity, you know, show your identity, who you are, which is the most important thing, right? Arguably to say, Mark, that you can appoint a Klopp or Pep Guardiola, but they will fail if there is no structure and backbone, right? So basically,
100%.
he has to go in there and do pick his team selection, recruit, because these people are clueless. And anyway, they would just overrule him and to say, no, here's a Mason Mount. You're not going to get a Jarvis Simmons. Here's Mason Mount. And this is what happens, right? And how are you supposed to cook, you know? How are you supposed to cook a meal? But then again, you know, you live by the sword, you die by the sword as a manager. You're the ultimate responsibility for assemble the squad, put the team out. And if some people are making revolt against you, not listening to you, of course you're going to put them in the sin bin. And that's pretty much what's happening, right? Pretty much you at work, you're the boss and somebody's not really following your structure. You're doing a project, like, you know, project management, and somebody's not following what the rules and principles of what you've been given, like, you know. I mean, some people call it governance, and that's what it is, right? Governance. But at the end of the day, if you're not going to play your identity or style of football, if you are confused what people are telling you, whispering in your ear, like Darren Fletcher's and the coaching staff, and no, you have to pick Scott McTominay because he sells clicks on the media, and this is all what we care about. Rashford, XYZ. Then what's the point, right? What's the point of being the manager?
100%, 100%. And you can't have revolts. That's the most important thing. And fans, as a fan myself, I'm gonna say we have to back the manager because this happened to Jose Mourinho. You know, fans turned on Jose Mourinho when he wanted certain players out, and we backed the players as fans when we should have been backing the manager then. Because if those players were gone, who knows? Who knows? No one knows.
Yeah,
What would have been
but
the
arguably to say
possibilities?
Jose Mourinho showed his discontent, and he called the Glazers out by, you know, just saying, "I'll show you." So he started to play Scott McTominay as a centre back, and just totally did out of whack, throw his toys at the pram. You know, arguably speaking, looking back, he was right. You know what I mean? Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was a yes man. Like, you know, he was just happy to have the job, right? So he did everything what the Glazers
100%.
told him to do, right? And tactically speaking, Ole Gunnar Solskjaer wasn't that bad. You don't go to PSG Stadium and beat them with 3-2, and you know, especially when you're going away and you set up a certain formation because you know how the Premier League is working. You play the game. I you know, my critics is here that say, Erik ten Hag, you've been here 18 months. You know how these you know, teams are playing, and my critics is that you know that the midfield is a big gap, right? So why are you still lining up, like, you know, with a single pivot? I mean, leaving Amrabat, you know, totally, you know, exposed, covering, you know, that yard of space, and you have two undisciplined midfielders. So I would call them shadow strikers, not a midfielder, like in Bruno and Scotty Mack.
I mean,
You know, that they're not supposed to. I mean, Scott McTominay is supposed to be there next to Amrabat.
I mean,
There's no
in
creativity.
all reality, right? Pep plays a single pivot with Rodri. So
Yeah,
I
that's
could
Rodri,
understand. I could understand why, it's not a bad idea to play a single pivot, right?
Yeah, but you're not
Now
you're not
I'm
Manchester City as of yet.
I
That's the
know we're
point.
not Manchester City. I'm just speaking prospectively on
Mm.
devil's advocate, really.
Mm.
I'm just saying that Amrabat bossed the midfield in the game before
He
as a
did.
single pivot, right? So now you have to boss the game at home again, but you technically were a bit off your game. So then now you need help. But in the game, it's like you could see Bruno coming back. Bruno was always dropping deep, trying to provide assistance and coverage. I mean, he made a missed pass, or he tried to break the lines to get the ball.
Yeah.
Scott McTominay didn't receive the ball. The ball bounced off the player. The player kept running. Scott McTominay was there just watching. Boom, pass, goal scores. Bruno is wasteful. Garnacho had 17 touches in attacking opportunity positions yesterday.
Yeah.
12 of those 17 chances
It
he
wasn't
had,
yesterday. It was
he
the
wasted
day before.
the day before on Saturday.
Saturday.
12 of those chances he wasted. He could have passed. He could have done something different that would have impacted the game because we were
Fair
in
enough.
scoring opportunities. But
No.
he's not getting any blame. And I'm not saying he should. I'm just saying is that the best midfielders, in my opinion, they don't always score goals, but they provide that effort in the background and make their teammates look better. They disappear into the game. If people say Messi's the greatest midfielder in the world, I'm not saying Bruno's as good, but there are times when Messi disappears in a game, but all the passes he's making connects to players that connects to attacking moves that finish.
Yeah.
Right.
Even if you're invisible.
Sometimes it's not always about being seen as the best player on the field, but it's how the team is performing. And if you look at the game objectively, you would see that Bruno's performance defensively was providing assistance and coverage to Amrabat. But we just had a few players like Amrabat, like Shaw, even Garnacho. They were just off their game yesterday on Saturday.
Right.
So I would say it's hard to just blame. Scotty Mac is always going to be Scotty Mac. I have accepted him for who he is. Fans should just accept Scotty Mac for who he is. We know what he's going to give every game. So if he starts, he doesn't start. We already know what Scotty Mac is going to give. So being upset with him every game seems like repetitive for me. You know what I mean?
Listen, let's park this discussion. Otherwise, we will go round and round and round and round. But
100%.
it's arguably like you speak football because you see football the way I see it from a 360 degree. A lot of people see it like an eye test merchants. Like they see they don't see bigger what they see how it's been played on the field, right? But the way you talk, the way I talk is that we look at the 360 holistic perspective. We look at the root cause problems, what's going on off the pitch, implying that on the pitch. And you're absolutely right. And those that calling Ten Hag out, just the only reason is because he doesn't have any style of play. It doesn't really appeal their eye. And he doesn't play this player and that player. 5 times in 10 years, what Gary Neville was saying, they have spent £1 billion. They're on the limit of the FFP, 700 million in debt and 300 million going to other clubs. The bank overdraft is 300 million. They are 1.2 under. So therefore, Gary Neville is also slamming Sir Jim Ratcliffe, and he doesn't believe, and he's not a supporter of it. And they say that the 25% in stake in Manchester United is not enough. He doesn't believe that he can do it. He cannot turn around. And this is what I've been consistent with to say. It's the divide and conquer. We will give you 25%. We will give you like Jean-Claude Blanc or whatever his name, the new CEO. Fantastic. That's the step towards the right direction. And then we will give you a new footballing director. I mean, this is the structure that we're talking about, but that's not enough, right? 100% is what we need. It's like I did a rant yesterday to say, like, you know what? Standards, right? I expect Manchester United to have standards. Would I accept 25% performance? No. I want to see standards in every game. You're a match-going fan. You pay expensive tickets. You want to see your team perform 100% standards. So why are you settling for this mediocrity to say 25%? Big up Gary Neville. I really, really applaud Gary Neville here to call it out for what it is.
Hats off to him.
As somebody that played the game, is somebody that's so influential. that people are listening. Sometimes I don't really agree everything that he says, but for him to step outside his own skin, to criticize him, to say that is the fact, Mark. Anyway, let's move on. Let's move on to the next story. And this is some little bit of a positivity, Mark. And yeah, El Clasico.
The man is back.
The man is back.
And to be fair, Mick, it's a welcome back for me, you know what I mean? Because at the start of the season, we could all see some players, they were a little bit tired. Some players, they were injured. And the team wasn't mentally there. You know what I mean? Sometimes I wonder if the team was giving a stick to the fans. I'm just saying that as devil's advocate. You know what I mean? Because sometimes the players have a decision, you know, like a workforce. When you work for any company, you know, you guys come together as a team because you all work together. You know, you depend on each other for success. And, you know, the business is run by owners and managers, and, you know, you have to work with everyone. And then you have to please the demand, which is your customers, your clients. You know what I mean? And sometimes the clients might not like someone in that they interface with, but that someone is well liked by the people that work around them, because they might not be great at interface, but in the background they're great at connecting everyone together. You know, so sometimes the team, they need each other. You know what I mean? And we need to support them. I mean, it's a bad game that they performed, and sometimes we're going to have an up and down game this season. It's not over yet, guys. It's just my opinion, because like I say, we are in a rebuild, and until next season, I'm not going to change my tone. But I expect these kind of mistakes. And to be fair, having Casemiro back is going to be a boost for the team, because we all know what he can give. And he's done it last season. And now our team is arguably performing better. Imagine Casemiro sitting in that midfield now.
I hear you. But the thing is that, you know, Ten Hag did not expect him to have him back, you know, after Christmas. So this is a major boost, because once you're back training on grass, that's a big sign that you're ready. So this is absolutely a boost. And let's face it, Casemiro was one of our most influential players last season, together with Licha,
Martinez,
to be honest.
yeah.
Martinez.
And
we had that
spine.
We had that spine. We had that triangle. So Manchester United could have Casemiro back from hamstring injury as of very, very soon. Reuters is also reporting this, that, you know, Ten Hag did not expect, you know, to have the Brazilian back in action before Christmas. So this is a massive update. You know,
massive.
Barring that, everything that we've been going through, structural, like, you know, the tactical. I mean, tactical and structural it's different things. Structural is the overall spine of the team, right? And it's basically the cogs that will enable you to play a certain style, right? Martinez is one of them, very important. Casemiro was not really showing his form. He's at the races. Hopefully, this rest period time has kind of given him a little bit of time to reflect and get him more into speed and slowly bed in. So I wouldn't rush him too fast, but it's definitely, Mark, a very major update.
It's a major update, and like for fans like me, it could possibly mean we see Super Sub McTominay for once and twice, maybe 3 times. You know, because then Casemiro starts.
Could you then argue? Can you then argue to the point that, you know, looking back though, like, you know, Ten Hag wanted out Maguire. He wanted to sell, you know, McTominay, but both were given by accident a free pass that were given the shirts due to injuries, right? So that's what you're saying now. With return of Casemiro, we have a fantastic player in there. Amrabat, we have Kobe, we have Mason Mount probably coming back. Do you see that Ten Hag still will pick McTominay, or do you see him potentially put him out in the January window to generate funds together with Harry Maguire as well?
Well, I've been saying it for a long time, and guys may get it wrong. They might think, you know, Mark is saying these guys are amazing. They're better than Varane and Casemiro. No, I'm just saying, look, form players are hard to come by. When a player's in form, it's like a new life, right? It does 3 things. 1, it improves your team because it helps other players who are not in form get into form. 2, it helps the manager because now he has a alternate option. And 3, it boosts their transfer value, right? So yes, he wanted them out, but did the club allow them to leave? No. So he had no choice. When he ended up with injuries, who do you want him to play? You want him to play someone from the youth who's not ready?
True.
Fans say they're
And
going to back the
that
youth.
goes back to the initial story with Gary Neville, that he was never kind of given the opportunity. He was overruled, because you got to have a spine within the club. You got to have a structure. You got to have a sporting vision. It's been 11 years since Sir Alex Ferguson left with David Gill, and ever since then the bank has been taking over, right? Calling the shots with no footballing brain, no interest in winning anything other than winning in the bank account, right? For them, it was clear and obvious. As long as you make top 4, you're safe, right? Because top 4 makes us more money and revenue. We get to play Champions League. But what about getting to Champions League then? What about winning? No, they close off the tap. They don't give the manager any backing or any means to compete or recruit the right personnel. So this is where we are at the moment. This is a realization staring right at your face, and you cannot run away from it. You can call run, Forrest Gump, like life is box of chocolate. You never know what you're going to get with these Glazers. But at the end of the day, Ten Hag has to cook what Ten Hag has. So that's the reason why I still put a doubt sign, because the reason why I'm doubt is because I want to put pressure, high standards. Again, high standards. Show us that you have your identity. Show us that you don't give a rat's ass about what the Glazers are telling you how to play. Show us why you got appointed and play us your style of football. Not the way they were saying, well, I'm here to play the Manchester United way. What is the Manchester United way, by the way? That died when Sir Alex left. We've been fumbling in the dark, trying to find different identities. Like we have gone through 11 years of identity crisis. And the ones to blame is the ones that's been running the club above, right? The structure.
100%.
I've been so much of an advocate for the structures to say, listen, you can run any company in the world, right? If you don't have a clear-cut communication and vision that everyone is on board, everyone gets, apprecials, right, for what they're doing. It's got to run from the CEO, the boardroom, all the way down to the mailroom or the dressing room.
Success must be the order of the day, and a lot of people talk about things, but I don't think they've experienced a lot of these things in actuality. Like I've experienced a studio being taken over partially by a new private, share owner in the studio, a music studio, right? You know what happens different? Yeah, they're gonna appoint someone who could manage well. They're gonna appoint someone who could market well, right?
Manage it.
But then they're gonna rotate the engineers who actually are the core of the studio, more important than the management, right? And the engineers who aren't with the program, they just get fired,
True.
and they could be the better engineers out of the group that remains. But people might look at it.
Leadership is everything. Leadership is
Leadership
everything,
is
because
everything.
sometimes CEOs and CFOs, they think they have the answer, but not without even asking the target audience, the paying consumers. They think they know what's best. But the mistake, what they're doing is not communicating and not engaging with the entire staff all the way down to the mailroom. So if you have set your vision as a board to say, we want to make X, Y money, we don't really care if we win or lose. What's the point even of having a football club, right? Appointing a new manager. The manager comes in, gets frustrated. He wants to win cups. He wants to win leagues. He wants to have the best player. Everyone wants, right? You want to have the best product in the market. Coca-Cola wants to compete against Pepsi and still be number one year 100%. In and year out, right? But if you're not getting the funds, if you're not getting the right tools, eventually Pepsi is going to take over, and Mountain Dew and everything else. And this is exactly what happened. Exactly. You look at the Premier League right now, and don't be surprised to see Aston Villa creeping up there second in the table. You know what I mean? Teams like Brighton, Villa, everyone is well run nowadays because they understood the concept. They adopted this concept, and we are stuck in quicksand, what you said.
100%. And it's a lot to do with the fact that fans forget that we are depending on our players' quality, right? And them wanting to win for us to win games when they should be naturally be motivated by the above.
Yes, sir.
It's like, staff could be as great as any staff. They could be the best staff in the world at any company, most proactive staff. But if after a while that proactivity sees that there's no proactivity from above or no benefits from above for their proactivity and wanting success, then they're going to get lazy. It's natural. True. It happens in all the top companies. So people have to realize that we need to motivate these players, not just by supporting them as fans, not just by criticizing the plays on the field, but making sure that the people above them also want to win as much as we fans want to win. You know, it's the first thing. And when you look at a club and how the club has been run in the past 10 years, we all as fans know in our hearts, these guys don't really care. They don't really want to win titles. They just want top 4.
No, that's the truth bomb. And that's got to wrap it up to summarize the thing, Mark, because it's just a little bit conscious time for you that's tuning in and watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. This is not a live session. We didn't have the privilege to do a live session, so we did a pre-recording just to give something back to the community, guys. So please do like and subscribe. We're on the road for 20,000 subscribers, guys. And anyway, to summarize what we just spoke about right there, I 100% agree with Gary Neville is never forget where the root cause problem is, and don't be an eye test merchant, because we are fans. We want to see the manager play for good football, but we got to understand that things take time, right? Things take time. Some people that comes in with Hotspurs or Arsenal that might have a different structure than we have. We have zero backbone, to be honest, and that's the only backbone that we need to bring up. And that leads me to what we spoke about. Would you sell Maguire and Scott McTominay in January to generate window? Because apparently, Mark, Fabrizio Romano, Mr. Here We Go, has come out to say, there is funds. There is funds. Is it? Because he's provided an update yesterday in a YouTube, exclusive, right? Promising updates for United's plans in January window as 2 positions could be strengthened. So he's talking about defender and he's talking about attacker. We've been talking about this for the past couple of weeks, and you've been shedding some names. I don't know if this is Glazers spinning the gravy train story after the calamity loss against Bournemouth, as per usual. Something comes out after a loss. But when Fabrizio Romano is saying he's providing promising updates, that United is currently seriously looking to bring in a striker and defender. Mark, any final thoughts regarding that? Because you've been mentioning a few names. Did you clock him talking about who we are looking at?
I didn't clock him speaking specifically at who, but he has been suggesting for the last few weeks that, like I said, they're looking for cheap talent who are on the verge of breakout that could possibly do something, first big contract, willing to work hard. You know what I mean? These are the types of players that Man United are currently scouting. Players like Goncalo Ignacio. His contract, it's not as everyone thinks. He's not going to be 100 million. He's going to be somewhere in the region of 30, 35. His first choice is Man United. This is what you want as a fan. There's also Serge Guirassy, playing out in Stuttgart, doing very well in the Bundesliga this season, I have to say myself. And he's like 15 million euros. That's chump change for a striker. And he's experienced. He's got like a good age, 27-year-old. He's going to come in and do a job. There's also the youngster, like I've been talking about him so much because he's so talented. Marcus Leonardo. He's even 12 million euros. Yeah. And his terms are favorable. So I think the club may be looking at some things like these. We have to remember, guys, that he did want Maguire to be sold. He did want Scott McTominay out, and these guys could be possibly moved on for 60 million.
Yep. We got 2 minutes left before we're gonna wrap this up. Marcus Leonardo, yes, that's been heavily linked and still there on the cards of the table. Maybe Manchester United is keeping it quiet because they don't want to create a competition. Because as soon as everyone knows that they're sniffing around, there's going to be other like Chelsea's and everyone else sniffing around for the same striker. We don't want that. What just came in right now, hot from the press as well, is apparently United prepared to outbid Bayern Munich for the case of who else? Araujo.
Ronald Araujo.
It's a defender.
Very good centre back. Very, very good centre back. Tall, physical, strong.
Yeah, so we are definitely looking for a centre back and we are looking for a striker, because midfield, I think we are okay now with Casemiro coming back. We certainly need to strengthen that, bolster that centre back. Doesn't mean that Rafael Varane is going out the door in January. We don't know. We don't know why Rafael Varane is not playing over, Johnny Evans and stuff like that. I'm dying to understand, because later on, Mark, we're going to do the manager's press conference as we're playing the marginal chance against Bayern Munich, a marginal chance that we might qualify, but it's all down to footballing gods, and it all comes down to Galatasaray drawing with Copenhagen, guys. Thank you for tuning in, guys. Thank you, and we do apologize for not going live, but at least we gave you some breakfast content. Mark, big up, and I should see you later on for the manager's press conference.
Of course, and big up to those in the chat, came in and left a comment, left your own opinions, your own criticisms, what your thoughts are. We'll sure to reply and comment. Thank you for watching, guys. It's been your boys, McRuby and Mark. You know how it is. Beat the press.
Beat the press, and that's until latest. We will find out Ten Hag's press. Ciao, guys. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching MUFC Realist TV. Don't forget to like and subscribe and follow us on the socials.